Welcome to Dollars, Lifestyle, and Charity, a finance podcast for gamers. Romans and I are both money guys, but we're also gamers, so we wanted to put this pod together to help gamers like us with some of their tough money topics that can sometimes feel as hard as a Souls boss.
We're talking budgeting, saving, paying off debt, and how to not fall for all the traps life throws at you.
Grab a health potion and let's start stacking gold IRL. This is DLC, a finance podcast for gamers. Welcome to Dollars, Lifestyle, and Charity, a finance podcast for gamers. I'm Scruffy, this is Romans, and today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite topic, budgeting. Let's be honest, how many times have you made the decision, I'm going to sit down and start budgeting consistently, only that to last maybe a week, 2 weeks, and then you quit. And then 2 months later, you're like, I need to get back on it. I'm going to start budgeting, and you fail again. I think this is, for a lot of people, generally something that you can relate to. Because not everybody's like me and really enjoys doing their budget, because I recognize that I'm weird.
You're a weirdo. Everything you just said, if I close my eyes and think about weight loss, it's like literally the same story. You know? Who really likes to lose weight? Who really likes to, have discipline and follow a plan and stick to it? Who falls apart after they try it for a couple days, as soon as they hit that first plateau? Or in my case, I'm hungry. Oh, man.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, budgeting, weight loss, they're very similar in a lot of ways. But today we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the common pitfalls with budgeting and some ways that you can maybe look at budgeting in a different way and give you some practical tips on how you can stop budgeting wrong and start finding a way to budget that'll work good for you. So I think a lot of people, when it comes to budgeting, they don't, fail budgeting because they're doing it like they're incorrectly. I think they're just doing it the wrong way. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about that are some like common ways that people are budgeting wrong that you could look at and maybe make some changes and start helping, and it hopefully will help you budget in a healthier way. So I think the first thing I want to talk about is a lot of the way people look at their budget. A lot of people look at their budget and budget from a place of guilt where, like, oh, I spent too much money on eating out, so I need to completely stop. Or I bought way too many Marvel Rivals skins, so I need to stop spending money on a free game and actually
Wherever he is.
stop spending
Wherever
money
he
on
is,
a.
AJ. Point at him.
You pointed every direction, so I think at some point you're gonna get there. But yeah, and it's the thing about a budget is a budget. The way I look at it is, and this has been super helpful for me, is a budget is permission to spend money. I think in the previous episode I talked about budgeting and like budgeting is not just tracking your expenses and putting what you spent into specific categories. Budgeting is intentionally planning for the month ahead of you. And if you're doing that from like, oh, I spent way too much money this month, so I need to not go out to eat, like that's not going to be sustainable. Like you need to actually focus on what your long-term goals are. Yes, you absolutely should be focusing on paying off your debt, saving money for the future, investing. That's all really important. But if you approach it from a place of like, okay, this is what I've been given to be entrusted with. I'm going to be able to enjoy some of the money, and I put it in different categories. And then the rest of this money goes to these specific objectives that I've outlined. That's much more healthy than, oh, I only saved $50 last month. I need to save a lot more. So I'm never going to do anything fun ever again. That's not going to last.
Yeah, good habits. It's hard. It's hard to form good habits if they feel like torture.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking. I'm looking at the show notes, and I see here, I shouldn't spend on coffee. You shouldn't spend on Starbucks coffee or other branded coffee. You should go make it at home. And something I've learned if you drink a really good bean or a good roast, you don't actually need all the fancy stuff to make it taste good. So, but I'm a tea guy. All I need is green tea and water. I don't need any of the fancy stuff either. I like my teas, so you'll save a bunch of money. Yeah. So it's hard. It's really perception is reality. You have to create a
Yeah.
perception that sounds exciting. Like some of the weirdos out there love budgeting. The rest of us humans, non aliens, we need to find a way to make it seem not like we're being tortured by whoever you think is evil out there in the world. So yeah, it's really control your perception that this is going to enable freedom and breathing space and a future that is more comfortable. Uh, yeah, and I would rather bet on myself any day of the week than betting on someone else. But that's because I have a strong sense of belief in myself. Very high self
Yeah.
esteem. I have a very high self esteem. Outside of in when it comes to money, very confident I can find the right solution, um, if I have the time to do it. If I don't have the time to do it, I need people like Scruffy to handle it because I don't got time. But just get me my 10 between 10 and 20%. I'm a happy camper.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's good. Next thing I want to talk about is one of the reasons a lot of people hate budgeting is taking the time to go through and like actually do the transaction management and like put the what you planned you do and actually manage all the categories. There's actually a lot of tools out there, whether it be like a budgeting software or like Rocket Money, different things like that, that will help you like automatically pull in all of your transactions, and you just need to drag them into their categories. That's something, especially if you're new to budgeting, haven't done it before, and have a little bit of money to spend on a budgeting software. I think the one I use is like $100 a year, so it's really not that much money. And it automatically pulls in all of my transactions every month. And what I do is I just set out a little bit of time on my calendar on Friday and go through all my transactions for the week, pull them into their categories, make any adjustments to the budget I need to, and it takes me maybe 10, 15 minutes. And that's a really helpful way to keep from getting burnt out where if it's the 30th of the month and you're going through this list of 400 transactions that you promised yourself you would go through, that's going to get you burnt out really, really quickly. And you're going to feel awful after combing through all those transactions and realizing how much money, just realizing how much money you spent, even if you planned for it, like seeing how much money goes out the door for an entire month is rough because, you have all your expenses and it can really mentally put a pretty big strain on you. So look into some ways you can do some automation and break it up into chunks. Don't do a whole month's of expenses in one sitting. That's a recipe for some serious stress.
So don't only do it because because it does it for you, but because Scruffy is not on Team Credit Card, some credit cards do all of this heavy lifting for you. The trick is not to get trapped and then pay them interest. So if you can be like me and haven't paid credit card interest in almost 2 decades, that true? No, 15 years. I haven't paid interest in 15 years, and I still use credit cards. If you don't have that kind of track record, you probably can't do it. But a lot of credit cards, whether it's Amex and certain other visas and certain, actually, they categorize everything. You just dump it all in a spreadsheet, and it did its best to code it. It doesn't work if you buy it from weird places or if you buy from individuals. It doesn't understand who Bobby is. But if you buy from any established business that actually accepts those credit cards, which obviously is that's how it works, they tell that credit card person what kind of entity they are. Flower shop, auto shop, and it does all the work for you. Just gotta make sure you pay off your credit card.
All right.
Yeah, and you
If
just
you
dump it.
like credit cards, that's a great plan, which I do not and will never use that plan.
Yeah.
But if you are okay with credit cards and are not paying credit card interest, that is the key thing. If you have ever paid credit card interest, oh my gosh, please stop. Please, please, please stop. Be responsible. Oh gosh.
We beat that
But
like a dead horse. Don't do it.
yeah,
Don't do
don't
it.
do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Next thing, another number three of like a common thing that I see people like get tripped up with is having to have a million categories for your budget. Like that, for someone who's more detail oriented and enjoys that process, like myself, it can be good to say, like, okay, this is what I spent for eating out. This is what I did for meal prep. This is what I did for parties, and like break out all those specific categories. But when you're just getting started, make things simple. Only try to have like some 5 to 7 categories for your budget so that it's easy for you to put money into those categories. Um, you don't need to be super detailed when you first get started. In fact, the more detailed you get when you're first getting started, the more likely it is you're probably going to quit your budget. So start really simple. Look at like home, food, tithe, giving, entertainment, something like that. Just find a couple big picture categories and then start there and get more detailed as you need to. But focus on big things instead of all the small, tiny little things. Because if you're focusing at the big picture, you're going to be able to make progress. If you get lost in the weeds, you're not going to make any progress and you're probably going to quit.
I think if you're single, it's a lot easier to say everything you're just saying. But as soon as you throw in kids, pets, if you have too many pets, like our dog got sick, I'm like, oh God, it's got to go to the vet or whatnot. I'm like, so quickly the a rock or pebble that doesn't exist now exists and it's haunting you, throwing you way off your budget. And maybe we have to come up with our reach steps. Like I'm playing off of Ramsey Solutions baby steps. We should create our reach elevators. We have to create our own version of it because his baby step stuff is gold. Like this, if you
It
don't know who
is.
Dave Ramsey is, his 7 baby steps thing. And so I went to this retreat, to this money and marriage event that they hold at his campus, led by his people. His daughter, who obviously she's strong in her own right, and then another fellow. I'm not really the biggest on the Ramsey team, but there's some really strong people there. I had a great time at the conference. Just learned so many cool things, and the way they phrase things, so smart. So if you don't know, if you've never heard of Ramsey or Dave Ramsey or Ramsey Solutions or Baby Steps, you should Google it right now. And it's good. It's good stuff to get out of debt and plays into this whole
Hmm.
budgeting thing as well. Yeah, but I won't steal their thunder. We got to come up with our own. That probably is just renaming everything that they just said they do. It's probably
Yeah.
how many ways can you skin the cat, right? I don't like their debt snowball
Hmm.
thing. They have a thing called debt snowball. I don't necessarily like it. Maybe I don't understand it, but I don't like paying off debts based on size. I like to pay off debts based on interest rate. But you know that a small thing, and they're probably this debt snowball probably makes sense for healthy habits. You gotta feel like you're winning, even though it doesn't make the most min maxy sense. But I'm a gamer. I
Hmm.
like to min max everything. Probably need to just gamify the entire debt free experience. How would a gamer approach it? Right? You start at
Yeah.
0. Like you gotta level up. Gotta get to level 1. Earn money. Anyways.
Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe that's something we can look into more in detail because I think there's something there, but it would require a lot of work. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, but another common thing I see a lot of people fail at when they're like starting to budget is you create a no fun budget where you don't have anything set aside for spending time with friends, going out to eat, buying games, things like that. You are going to get burnt out so fast and quit your budget so fast if you don't take some time and actually put money aside for things that are fun. Like you can grit it out for a couple months if you really, really need to. People can work really hard if they need to for a short period of time. Like if you're in a super bad situation, maybe that's a situation where you could buckle down and say, "Oh, I'm not buying anything." But if this is going to be something, a habit you're going to be building for the long term, you need to have a plan for bringing in reasonable amounts of fun into your budget. Have an entertainment budget. My in my budget, it's just called fun money. So if it's something that I want to do that doesn't fit into any of my categories, I have my fun money budget that I can use to do those things, and go have fun. So I think a lot of people, when they start a budget, they're like, I'm only going to buy things that I absolutely need. And you are just going, that's just a recipe for getting burnt out. So
A-
add fun to your budget.
As I'm listening to this, I'm thinking of the weight loss journey. Imagine you've been eating poorly for years and you're like, I'm going to lose weight. And then you go cold turkey, removing all the fun. You take away all the joys in life. And so all you're left with is white rice, boiled chicken, and some kind of lame vegetable like probably came out of a can. And that's your plan. That's your weight loss plan. The next whatever you think it's only be 30 days. Little do you know it's the next like 6 years. You think you're gonna survive that? And people do that with their money too. Like, we're not gonna. Nope. We're not eating out ever again, even though we ate out every day, every lunch. For the past 6 years, we ate out. And then we ate on the weekends and we ate at night. We ordered the pizza. We're not going to do any of that starting tomorrow. You're just leading to fail because you
Mm.
have a life of luxury that you could not afford, that you're going to stop doing cold turkey. And then what do? You spend 300. You know what? I deserve it. I'm ordering 3 pizzas. Extra large, extra crust, 7 toppings. I deserve it. And you're going to blurge and spend all this money you don't have. Yeah, I agree with you. You need to slow it down. I don't think you got to stop cold turkey, but you got to slow it down and teach yourself healthy habits, especially if you can't afford it, you might have to go cold turkey, but it might be smart to just slow it down and not just cut everything out for the sake of the
Absolutely.
long time horizon. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, if you're in a really bad situation and need to get out right now, that's when maybe cold turkey for a couple months can work. But if you, like I said, if you want to build a long, consistent habit of budgeting, not just expense tracking, but actually planning for where your money's going to go, you need to have fun be a part of your budget because otherwise it's just simply not going to work long term unless you are a robot.
Or you're morbidly fat and tired of it, and you just do it. Like there's always those cool stories, like I lost 100 pounds in 90 days, and like
Yeah.
whoa, you. So there are people who can cold turkey it, but those guys are not the norm.
Yeah.
So be real, be realistic, calm it down.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last like common expense thing that I wanted to talk about is ignoring irregular expenses in your budget. And what that means, Christmas comes at the same time every single year. You don't actually have to be surprised by that. You can actually start planning and budgeting for Christmas in June. That's what I do. Is I have every single month I put a little bit of money into my gifts budget, and by the time it gets to Christmas, I have it built up, so I don't need to figure out how in the world am I going to save $700 so I can buy everyone gifts in December. Same thing with like car repairs, housing repairs. If you're not a renter, like I have a budget, a line item in my budget where I put money every single month for house stuff that comes up, whether it's yard work, whether it's a repair, I need to get my dryer fixed, whatever. Um, you need to have money set aside for those things. And having something in your budget for whether it be not just like for an emergency fund, but like have money set aside where when those things come up, you're not scrambling. That is really, really helpful. Um, Same thing, like if you pay insurance every like 6 months or something like that, that can be really, really rough if you're not expecting it, not budgeting for it, and then all of a sudden you have to pay, $1,200 for your car insurance. Um, but if you plan that out, spread out that impact over a couple of months instead of just that 1 month, you really are able to bear the brunt of that impact a lot better.
It sucks to save for things that don't happen, but when they happen, you're
Yeah.
gonna wish you saved. So it's just, I still have a medical bill when I had kidney stones. I don't know how much that is. I don't know if the wife paid it or where it's at. I'm afraid to look. I was in the ER for 4 hours. I can't wait to see how much that cost me.
Oh boy. Gosh, yeah. ER, the most expensive place on earth.
Yeah. And I was in the ER. I think, what am I going once a year now because I'm old? I was in the ER last year too. Last year I ripped
Dang.
a hole in my stomach, diverticulitis. This time I had a kidney stone. Small one, thank goodness. Didn't need surgery or anything. Didn't need surgery either time. Anyways, the last time cost me like 10 grand. Yikes.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
So yeah, don't. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad I had it, but yeah, definitely save for the unexpected because no one plans for their stomach to rip a hole in itself. So
It's true.
I don't at least. Maybe you do, but I don't.
I would prefer that not to
I
happen.
never thought I'd get kidney stones, but here we are. Hashtag
Yeah.
old. And if you're over
There we
40 and
go.
you're upset, I understand because now that I'm over 40, I too am upset. If not for the grace of God, I would be absolutely cranky old man syndrome. But I am grateful for the blessings I do have. Kidney stones is not one of them.
Yeah. Kidney stones is a blessing I would not wish on anyone.
Hmm. Especially a guy. It's like
So,
delivering a baby.
oh boy. Yeah, not a good time. Not a good time. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is, we're in this world of AI, and there's actually some like tools that you can use to make budgeting simpler. And there's a bunch of different ones. If you have questions about like specific things you can use, feel free to leave them in the comments, shoot me a DM. I'd be happy to kind of go over there for you. AI is not going to be able to budget for you. But what it can help you with is a couple of different things. AI is really good for pattern recognition. So, like, one thing you can do is you can throw 1 month's of expenses into an AI assistant, and it can give you like a pre-built estimate for a budget. So that's something where like you don't have to start from zero. It's something that would be really helpful for you, like figuring out like if you've never budgeted before, maybe you don't know how much money to put in different categories. And AI looking at your expenses could be really helpful for that. Um, you can also, there's some that will do automatic categorization for you. Those are some of like the budgeting tools that you pay for that will automatically, when it comes in, throws it into a category for you. You don't have to deal with it. That's something you're going to be paying for. But if you don't want to have to go through the hassle of pulling transactions into specific places, that can be really helpful. You can also use different AI bots and stuff like that for predicting expenses. So, like things when you're getting started, things like insurance, things like Christmas, different expenses that happen on a semi-regular basis but aren't necessarily always at the top of mind. That can be really helpful. And then there's also some budget apps that will have AI that'll like remind you on like what you've spent so far that month and say like, hey, you spent less than you were expecting to in this category. If you wanted to, like, for instance, if you spent less money than you expected on groceries, you can get a reminder sent to you that like, hey, you actually have a little bit more money than you expected in groceries, and you can buy that bag of chips or whatever it is that you see at the grocery store that you normally would pass up on, but because you have a little bit of extra money, you can go ahead and splurge on. So there's definitely a lot of things that AI can help you with, but AI is never going to take the place of a budget because you're the one that actually has to agree to what you said you're going to do. A budget doesn't help anybody if you don't actually follow it. So you need to make an agreement with yourself that what I say I'm going to do in my budget, I'm actually going to do. Because if you don't do that, you're just tracking your expenses and being an accountant and helping no one.
Scruffy with the tough calls. I like AI to lie to me and tell me I'm doing awesome, even when I'm not. So I'm just gonna use AI to judge me and tell me how I'm awesome and never say negative things about me, and I'm gonna feel like I'm winning. And then I'll be
Yeah,
able to report to you my AI bot thinks I'm great, even if you think I'm not, even if I'm paying credit card interest.
Congratulations, you overspent your budget by $5,000 this month. Great job.
You make more than the rest of the global planet. I like hearing those kinds of comments. It doesn't take much to meet the global average income. Uh,
That's true.
Everyone in
I
the
think like
US,
if
you're
you
rich. Hmm.
yeah, I think if you live in the United States and are below like at the poverty line in the United States, you are a top 1% income earner in the entire world.
That's so crazy. Because it sure doesn't feel like it. But you know what was interesting? I was talking about fast food with a buddy who lives in the UK, and he pays $2 less for the same meal you would buy in America. And
Hmm.
because it's the UK, they have a bunch more, restrictions, so the food actually has to be made like super healthy than American
Mhm.
version of a Big Mac meal. I was surprised by that. So even though it's cheaper to live in America, you can win in certain places. Like Spain is 34% cheaper on your food. I
Interesting.
was, new tip. I'm thinking about buying a home in Spain. I haven't told my wife this at all, by the way. But I've been pondering. I've been thinking about this for a long time now. Where could I buy a home that's not in the U.S.? And turns out it could be Spain. I was hoping an Asian country, but I need a place where my wife might go. I don't.
You you can't convince your wife to go to Asia?
Yeah, because I do Korea or Japan probably, but I don't know if she'd fly there. And it just feels weird
Mm.
to me. I have a second home. I could have a secret life. I have a whole other family in
Oh
Korea.
gosh.
I visit them twice a year in my secret home. Oh man, dark. All right, where's this episode going?
Yeah. Well, next thing I wanted to talk about is a couple like simple budget styles that you can use for your first budget that can be super helpful. So simplify like this is just the first one right here is it's typically called the 50/30/20 method. I do a 50/20/20/10 method because I'm a Christian and I believe in tithing. But the idea behind this is you spend 50% of your money on the things that you need. So whether that be food, transportation, housing, things like that. You spend 20% of things on just things you want in general. You spend 20% on the future, whether that be savings, investing, getting out of debt, and you give 10% away. So if you've never done a budget before, that is a really simple way to think about it. And if you wanted to straight up just use those four categories as your first budget, just have needs, wants, future, and giving. And you that could be your very first budget. If you're someone who's really busy, hates budgeting, has decision paralysis, something like that, that is a really great way to get started because it's simple, don't have to overthink it, and is just really, really easy.
I think most people actually suffer from paralysis analysis, and or it's too hard and they just never start. So I think having a system where you could just start today, like just start right now, would that's probably something we need to figure out. We need to promote something that you can start today, no matter where you are, no matter what time of the month it is. Just do something right now. Um, I don't know what that is.
Well, it might be the budget that I built a couple months ago, or actually a year ago now. Gosh.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, was
So
that
I
an
actually,
ad? I wasn't even ready for that. That's funny. What a perfect ad.
but yeah. So I actually went and took some time. I found a couple budget apps, a couple templates on Google Sheets, and I built one specifically for people who listen to our podcast, people who are members of Reach, and want to have it available. I have two different categories. There's one that's more detailed for someone who wants to keep track of pretty much everything, and then I have a much more simplified one where it's a lot less categories, uh, a lot easier to keep track of. Um, and this is something I'll make sure we have it in the show notes so that you can go ahead and click on that and open it up, get a copy of this. But I already have it built up. It'll have the pretty graphs and stuff at the top. It'll tell you if you were able to save more money than you had initially budgeted. If you overspent it, it'll tell you that. And all you ever need to do in this is put your what you're planning on spending in the yellow categories, and then in the transactions, just like I was talking about at the beginning of the episode, take some time on a Friday, a Saturday, whenever you have some time, and put in your transactions from the past couple bit. This is it's not the most advanced budget in the world by any means, but if you want to get started today, this is something that we have available for you so you can get started. And if you want or need any help, feel free to reach out to me. If you're in the Reach server, post your questions in the Gold Stat chat. I check that frequently, and if anyone has questions, drop them in there. I'd be able to help you with that. But this is actually something that is already built for you and would be a great place to start. And this kind of goes into the second category too, because there's the simplified version, which is more of what I was just talking about. But then we also have like your traditional, like Dave Ramsey zero-based budgeting, which is basically where you're going to have a place for every dollar that you're planning on making that month. And you're planning for where every single dollar goes. This is eventually where you want to be able to get, because this is going to be the place where you're confident, you know where your money's going, you're able to make consistent progress. Um, for if someone's a little bit more detailed oriented, this is maybe a place where you can not necessarily be, have 1,000 different categories, but be a little bit more detail oriented. Use the more detailed for version of the budget that we have available to you, and that would be a really good place to get started. And then the last section is if you really, really do not want to do a budget, you heard everything we said and you're like, nah, I ain't doing that. This is just a general, like, this is what you should do. Um, Give first, then spend on everything you absolutely need, then you save, and then you can spend the rest of your money as you want. But I would highly recommend doing a budget. But if you are committed to not doing a budget, make sure the first thing you get with your money, you do something generous. You give to your church if you're not a Christian or religious. Give some money away. Be generous. That's the best you're ever going to be able to do with your money. Then pay for everything you need, save for your future, and then have fun with the rest of your money. Um, I would not recommend that, but if you're absolutely committed to not doing a budget, that's a way you can do it and not completely screw yourself for the rest of your life.
Doomsday, rest of your life, for sure. If you are not flourishing, you're probably dying. So it's just like the weight loss journey. If you're not losing weight, you're probably gaining weight. Very unlikely that you're just maintaining your weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you want to always be losing weight. And so you always want to be saving and finding a way. There is a way to make this enjoyable. There is a way.
Hmm.
For me, though, well, one for me was seeing the savings. I think for me, realizing each month went by. I still remember when we saved over $500. That was inspiring. I'm like, we actually somehow saved $500. We didn't even make any more money. We just cut the garbage out. And then it became for me, well, what happened? What? And then when you see money earn money, I think that was the other part that unlocked for me. When my
Yeah.
$1,000 brought home an extra $10. I know it doesn't sound like much, but just think about the fact that you just got $10 and you did nothing. And then I was just like, how do I get more than $10? How do I get $100? And then that's and then you need to save up to $10,000. Like you just need to get to that next level. And then then I need to save 500 next month. What do I have to do to save 500 next month? Well, you just did it. You just did it last month. Just do it again. And just
Hmm.
hope that you don't get hurt or have any of those emergency things that just always seem larger than what you've been saving for. Because I remember I would put away $100. I'm just gonna put away $100, and then something would happen, cost me $1,500. I'm like, that's the whole year plus 3 months. But then you do win. You'll see 3 months go by, and you saved $100 every month for 3 years. Yeah, that's $3,600. Like it does add up, and then that 3,600
Mhm.
bucks earns $36 or some other fancy number, $100. You can earn $100 on 3,600 bucks these days.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
and but then you got to make sure you don't get lost in the sauce of just hoarding, and then you become a hoarder, and then you're 80 years old and you've saved millions of dollars. What are you gonna do with it? I'm gonna die with it. Whoa, you took
Yeah.
you took our budgeting episode way too hard, too far, too far.
Too far.
Can't take it with
Reel
you.
it
You
back a
can't take
little
it with
bit.
you. Can't take it with you.
It's true. Yeah, that's why it's important to be generous and give. I promise you, it may not seem like it, but being generous is the most fun you will ever have with money. Being able to just spur of the moment, be able to bless someone, even if they don't know it was you that did it, that is the most fun you will ever have with your money. Uh, it's great.
And if you do it enough, eventually someone comes around and will tell you what happened. And those winning stories, so good. So good. I'm hoping one good friend buys a house soon. And I hope he listens to this podcast, and I hope he does it. And that'll be like that. It's cool. That's cool that,
Yeah.
God did it, but somehow some part of it I helped that happen. So it's cool to be a part of. It's good to see people win. Unless you're a person who don't like other people to win. I like seeing other people win. I do get enjoyment out of seeing other people win. Um,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and the last thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is Roman's kind of touched on it already, but you need to find what is going to be motivating for you because the math part of a budget is only a very, very small part of it. Like, the truth is, a budget is only as powerful as your self control. Your budget is simply you just putting dollar amounts to what you're going to be doing for that month. So you are the one that needs to actually take the initiative and follow through with what you promised yourself that you are going to do. In order for that to happen, you need to find what's going to motivate you. Whether for Romans, he was saying it was that seeing that savings. For someone who's, if you're in a lot of credit card debt, it might being able to finally pay off that credit card that's only been $300 away. And if you do the budget this month, you can actually finally pay off that credit card. Whatever it is, you need to find what is going to be that thing for you that's going to motivate you to actually do it this time because this is not the purpose of this episode is not for you to start a budget and then quit it 2 weeks later. We want to help you be able to start a habit that you can continue for the rest of your life and start making progress towards being a winner with your finances. But you need to find what's going to be the motivator for you to actually make a change that's going to have a positive impact for you. And it's not simply that you're doing math wrong. That's not the answer. You need to find what that thing is and actually take it and run with it.
Future you will love it. Today you won't, but or maybe you will. Hopefully you appreciate it. But future you, and let me tell you, the coolest thing that I got out of the Ramsey Solutions Money and Marriage Retreat was I found out in no matter what happens today, 10 years from now, I will have hit the goal that me and my wife set. And I didn't pay attention to where I was just curious. Like what I got out was like, I wonder where all my money is. Where is all the money? Which is a stupid question, first world problems. But you kind of lose track of where it all is. And during that week, and I just asked my wife, like, where's all the money that you have control of? And I looked at all the money I have control of. Fast forward 10 years, we're there. So good news is I no longer need to make money. I'm officially done making money. I am going to go take a nap after this call. Thank you. You're welcome. But I'm 44 years old, on track to be where I want our family to be. And that's even including all the money we give away. Just, it's so cool. God is awesome that somehow He makes a way where there is no way. Uh,
Mm,
and if I go back to the day when I was Scruffy, you're 28, 26,
26.
26. I was so broke at 26. So this is cool. You're where I was really broke. And you're already doing better than me, which kind of sucks. Just getting happy you're winning. But I was super broke when I was your age. And now look at me. You could be me when you're old. That's so cool. But you have to start when you're 26, not when you're 44. If you're listening to this and you're 44 and broke, you just gotta suck it up, Buttercup, and you gotta go on that. You have to do the hard things because you don't have
Hmm.
the time that between me and him, you don't got that time.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of a time factor here. I remember sorry, one more story. My dad long ago, he was already in his 50s when he asked me, and he asked me, "Hey, how can I save for retirement?" And I was your age when he was asking me this, and I didn't have the heart to tell him, but I said, too late, Dad. You're 55, asking me how to save for retirement,
Mm.
and he doesn't have millions, right? Probably doesn't even, probably has under 100. And I'm like, Dad, the fastest way you make retirement money is time, and 55 years
Hmm.
have already gone. So unless outside of you somehow just getting rich quick, which is something Filipinos love to do, if you're listening to this podcast and you're Filipino and you think getting rich quick is a thing, stop it. It's not. There's no get rich quick. You should have done it when you were 26 and had the discipline to stay there until you're 44 and then have a conversation with your wife. Hey, do you know where all our money is? And then total it up and fast forward 10 years and be like, oh, we're done. We just need to make enough to pay the bills as long as the kids don't go to like Harvard or some dumb school that costs $1 million. We're good. And you know what? Community college was good enough for me. So guess what, kids? Community college is good enough for you. Sponsored by Valencia Community College. Just kidding. Pay up, punks. Pay up if you want that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really true. I mean, if you are in your 20s, you have so much going for you. Even if you don't have a ton of money, you have time, and time is your biggest asset. But if you don't take the time to actually be disciplined and tell your money where to go, your money will tell you where to go. So you need to take the time and actually be in control of your money.
So in 26,
So,
I had no house. Now at my age, I got four of them. Looking for my fifth one in Spain or Korea, whichever one my wife will fly to. Although I really want in Japan, but Japan's a different problem.
yeah.
Okay,
All
cool.
right. Well, thank you all for listening. I hope, like I said, if you're interested in the budget, it's going to be in the show description. I hope you can use it. And if you have questions, reach out to me. Happy to help. But this has been Dollars, Lifestyle, and Charity, a finance podcast for gamers. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.